for this conversation regarding the East African Commodities Exchange and the Capital Markets Authority. Now, to just give you a little bit of context into this conversation, Rwanda's Commodities Exchange is a strategic for strengthening agriculture markets through improved price discovery, enhanced transparency, and wider access to regional and international trade markets. Now, the East African Exchange is operating under, of course, the regulatory oversight of the Capital Markets Authority of Rwanda, commonly known as CMA, which links now farmers, cooperatives, aggregators, and traders to a structured, transparent, and competitive marketplace. That's the EAX, that's the East African Exchange. Now, to support awareness and deeper stakeholder knowledge, the Capital Markets Authority and the East African Exchange co-hosting this webinar to clarify on how the Commodities Exchange best operates. So there's some things that we want to get out of this conversation today. But before we get into this, I'm going to give you an overview of what this conversation is going to look like, what the outlay is going to be. We're going to have our welcoming remarks from the acting CEO of the Capital Markets Authority. After that, we'll have an understanding of the Commodities Exchange from Mr. Clément Kayitakire, the acting CEO of the East African Exchange. Then we'll have a story to tell us and give us some experience in working with the East African Exchange. That is going to come from Ms. Odeth Kabatesi. She is the CEO of Evergreen and Supply Limited. Then we'll open it up to you, the audience, our most distinguished guests today, for a Q&A session where you will have a chance to ask questions and they will get answered by our panel of experts. And finally, we will have our closing remarks from the guest speaker, the Minister, Dr. Solange Uwituze, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Resources, commonly known as MINAGRI in Rwanda. Now, I'm just going to go through quickly our speakers today and just to read through some of these bios. I'll start with Mr. KAREKEZI Ngabonziza Eric. He is the acting CEO of the Capital Markets Authority of Rwanda. Mr. Ngabonziza KAREKEZI is a seasoned finance executive with more than 20 years of experience across leading global financial institutions and public sector leadership. His career spans roles at JP Morgan, HSBC, BN Paribas, and UBS, where he developed deep expertise in market infrastructure, security services, custody operations, innovative financing, and digital financing. Most recently, Mr. KAREKEZI served as the head of market development at the Capital Markets Authority, where he led initiatives to strengthen the market's institutional foundations and enhance the flow of capital towards productive investment opportunities. Now, prior to joining CMA, he held the position of technical advisor in the office of the Deputy Governor at the National Bank of Rwanda, also known as BNR, where he supported digital transformation and market development priorities, including work on the central bank digital currency. I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot about that in the lead up to the IFF that's happening in Kigali. Now, his international experience includes positions at UBS, Luxembourg, BNP Paribas Securities, HSBC, and he also participated in regional innovative finance programs with the European Commission. Moving on to Mr. Clément Kayitakire, he's the acting CEO of the East African Exchange. Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong here. Mr. Clément is the CEO, not acting CEO of the East African Exchange. He has an MBA in agribusiness management from Kerala Agriculture University in India, with qualifications in securities and investment from the Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment in the United Kingdom, along with fintech and regulatory innovation from the University of Cambridge, UK. Our third speaker, Mrs. Odeth Kabatesi, she is the CEO of Evergreen Supply Limited, and she is a distinguished agribusiness leader and the CEO of Evergreen and Supply Limited, as I've mentioned, a fast-growing agricultural commodities supply company operating in Rwanda and the wider East Africa region. Last but not least is our guest speaker, Dr. Solange Uwituze, Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Resources. Dr. Solange has been the Minister for State for Agriculture and Animal Resources, known as MINAGRI, with 19 years of prior experience in higher agriculture education. Previously served as the Acting Director General at the Rwanda Agriculture Board, RAB, and Animal Resources Development Board, known as RAB. And further, Dr. Uwituze has been the board chair of the Gabiro Agri Hub Limited and deputy board chair of Gako Meat Company Limited. She has also been serving as the board member at the Rwanda Development Board and the board member at the Kigali Collaborative Research Center, KCRC. She's a founding fellow of the Rwanda Academy of Sciences. Very, very distinguished list of speakers that we have for you here today. I'll be your host. My name is Arnold Kumalo Kwizera. And without any further ado, allow me to go into the beginning of this conversation, someone to set the pace for us. And that's the acting CEO of the Capital Markets Authority of Rwanda, Mr. Ngabonziza, Eric. First of all, congratulations on the role. I believe it's the first time speaking to us from this chair. And please set the pace for us.
Good morning, Arnold. Thank you to welcome me for this session. Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Resources, Chief Executive Officer of East Africa Exchange, Chief Executive Officer of Evergreen Supply, distinguished guest speakers and panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to this virtual webinar to understanding commodity exchange business in Rwanda. Allow me first and foremost to express my sincere gratitude to the Honorable Minister of State of Agriculture and Animal Resources for honoring us with your presence and for invaluable time you have dedicated for this session. Your participation underscores the importance of government of Rwanda place on development and organized agricultural markets. I also extend my appreciation to the CEO of East Africa Exchange and CEO of Evergreen Supply for joining us as speakers today. Your expertise and practical insight are essential to enriching this discussion where we're about. To all participants joining us virtually this morning from financial sector, the agricultural value chain, public institution, academia, and of valuable development partners, thank you for taking time to be part with us for this session. Capital Market Authorities is the statutory regulator and supervisory authority for commodity exchange in Rwanda. Our mandate is to ensure market integrity, transparency, and fairness, while safeguarding the interest of all market participants and promoting orderly, efficient, and well-organized market. We consider the commodity exchange to be an integral component of broader capital market ecosystem alongside of security market or collective investment scheme. For those of us who may be less familiar with commodity exchange, let me briefly explain why this matters. In simple terms, a commodity exchange is a regulated marketplace where agricultural products and other commodities are bought and sold in structured, transparent manner. Organized commodity markets play a vital role in our economy. They enable reliable price discovery based on actual supply and demand. They reduce information gap between buyers and sellers. They improve traceability and strengthen quality standards. And they contribute to reduce post-harvest losses through structured warehousing and predictable market access. This agenda is firmly aligned with NST2 and Rwanda ambition to transition from a subsistence farming to a more commercial, market-driven agriculture sector. When markets function well, farmers earn more, investors gain confidence, and the entire value chain become more efficient. I want to emphasize a point that this particularly close to our mission. A commodity exchange is not preserved for large traders or financial institutions alone. It is equally a platform for smallholder farmers, cooperative aggregators, small and medium enterprise, and women and youth-led enterprise. By widening market access and improving in the term of trades, organized markets have a potential to deliver tangible benefit to households, communities, and broader economy. When this group participate effectively, and today's session is designed to help markets that possible, the impact extends well beyond the markets. Today's webinar forms a part of CMA broader commitment to market education and public awareness. Our goal is to demystify how commodity exchange work and to encourage informed participation, innovation, and responsible growth across the sector. I also wish to encourage students and academics who may be joining us today. Commodity market represent an emerging professional field, rich of area for applied research. I invite you to explore it with curiosity and ambition. Meaningful progress in commodity market depends on strong coordination across the entire ecosystem. CMA continue to work in close partnership with MINAGRI, MINECOFIN, MINICOM, EX, and other key stakeholders to align policy, strengthen regulatory clarity, and support private sector participation and innovation. I take this opportunity to recognize the leadership of government of Rwanda, and in particular the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources, for its sustained commitment to advance organized agriculture markets. The growing interest in commodity exchange mechanism is a reflection of Rwanda's broader economic transformation agenda. Sustainable progress requires shared commitment, consistent rules, and markets that work for everyone. As we proceed, I encourage each of you to participate actively to the session. Please make sure that the Q&A session and the question to see that you are going to share on the chat are very clear and with a clear practical perspective and contribute to reach the interaction. The presentation from EX will provide valuable insight into how exchange operates and how it delivers real value to market the participants across the value chain. With that, it is my pleasure to officially open this webinar. I wish you all a productive and fruitful insight session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. KAREKEZI. I was Eric, acting CEO of the Capital Markets Authority of Rwanda. Merci beaucoup. And without any further ado, allow me to introduce our next speaker. And just a quick note from what the CEO has mentioned. He is hoping we'll have more clarity. We have clear-cut solutions. We have practical solutions, and we can also demystify the role of both the Capital Markets Authority and the East African Exchange. So without any further ado, let me introduce our next speaker to help us understand the workings of the Commodities Exchange, Mr. Clément Kayitakire, who is the CEO of East Africa Exchange.
Thank you very much, Arnold. Honorable Minister of State for MINAGRI, dear CEO, CMA, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. It's not an easy task to explain the Commodities Exchange's business in 25 minutes, but I'm going to try. I'm going to do a presentation. I'm trying to share my screen here so that we I hope you're able to see it. Arnold, can you?
Yes, we can see it clearly, Clément.
All right. as introduced, the purpose of this webinar is to explain what the commodities exchange business is. So my presentation will be in two parts. The first part will cover the commodities exchanges, and the second part will cover the commodities exchanges business in the East Africa Exchange. So the first question that someone can ask is, what is a commodities exchange? So in simple words, a commodities exchange is a marketplace that links sellers of commodities to buyers of commodities through an electronic platform. It is like, understand it as a market where sellers of maize, for example, meet buyers of maize. And it is a marketplace that provides standardized commodities, meeting required quality parameters and ensuring the quantity of what the buyers are looking for. And an exchange also provides transparent price discovery. A price discovery is a process whereby the commodities exchange finds what the prices of the commodities are at a particular period of time based on the bargaining between sellers and buyers of commodities. Commodities exchanges also provide guaranteed settlement. A settlement process is none other than the exchange of purchased goods against the money paid for that purchased goods. In our case, it is the commodities. So now the second question that someone can ask himself is, why do commodities exchanges exist? So they exist for various reasons. The first one that I'm going to cover today is to reduce price volatility. So when I talk about price volatility, I mean the magnitude or the extent of which prices of the commodities fluctuate. To some extent, it's good, and it's the reason why this business exists, the price fluctuations. But on the other hand, they have to be regulated. The prices have to be stabilized. I will explain that later in details. And the other reason is to improve market transparency. By transparency, I mean, provide information, ready information to market participants, including the prices of commodities, the location of the commodities, the volumes of commodities to be traded, and all. And the other reason is to strengthen producer bargaining power. By producer, I mean farmers, I mean miners, I mean all types of producers of commodities, of various commodities that are traded on exchanges. So they have to be having a bargaining power, not just to be price takers, but being price makers. And the other reason is to be an enabler of regional and global trade environment. The other thing is to explain the objectives of commodities exchanges. So the first objective, as I mentioned earlier, is price discovery. Price discovery is a process that allows the participants of the commodities markets on the exchange to explore timely information regarding prices on different markets, which serves as a benchmark to commodities trading on the exchange. And then there's the market transparency part, which I just explained, and then the market access for producers. So briefly, it is all of this is possible because of the interactions that are done between sellers and buyers of commodities, which allows us to have to be able to do the price discovery. The next item that I'm going to talk about is the impact of commodities exchanges in different areas. The first one is to stabilize producers' incomes. Here, I added farmers for people to quickly catch what a producer is. But as I mentioned earlier, they can be farmers. That's in the case of agricultural commodities, but they can be other producers given the nature of the commodities that are being traded. In the mining sector, for example, miners can be producers. And there's also the very, very important item that is reduced post-harvest losses. Here, I'm talking about agricultural commodities. I remember when I joined the exchange, in the maize trading sector, on the national level, the country was losing about 30% of the total production of the country due to poor post-harvest practices. And that is a lot. 30% is a lot. So we used to reject very significant quantities of maize at our warehouses due to the fact that they don't meet the quality parameters required for commodities that are meant to be traded on the commodities exchange. But today, due to the fact that EAX, that I will talk about later in the second part of the presentation, the impact that EAX has brought to the country significantly reduced the post-harvest losses, at least for the commodities being traded at the exchange, to 5%, which I believe that over years, it will be reduced to 0 or 0.5 maybe. But the farmers have started to understand, you know, the importance of the best practices in terms of post-harvest handling. And then comes the improved quality standards. That goes with the best post-harvest practices, but also exchanges provide an environment that helps producers. Let me again explain by examples. Let me go back to maize or beans. When you talk about improved quality standards, it means that if you're saying that you're trading grade 1 maize, it has to meet the parameters for grade 1 maize. That can be the moisture content, that can be the aflatoxin levels, that can be the cleanliness, that can be the package. There's a set of parameters that have to be followed, including, of course, the foreign matters and all. This will be for another time, since we have limited time to explain what the commodities exchanges are. And the next item is the enhanced food security. So food security is a very important aspect, and we are honored to have the Minister of State at MINAGRI today. Food security is a very important pillar of the economy of any country. Food security is one of the pillars of the stability of the economy of any country. We will see that later. Then I'm going to walk you through how the commodities exchanges work. First, in the value chain, we start with the producer. The producers are the ones that provide commodities that are traded on commodities exchanges. For example, I'm going to use the agricultural commodities as examples, since most of the audience will quickly understand what I'll be trying to mean. Producers, in our case, let's say farmers. Farmers grow their produce. They can be maize, they can be beans, they can be soya, they can be coffee, any type of commodity. When they harvest, their produce is transferred to certified warehouses or silos. Because for commodities exchange to be able to trade, they need to guarantee two things. They have to guarantee the quality of the traded commodities and the quantity. If you're saying that you have 500 tons of grade 3 of soybeans, they have to be grade 3. They have to meet the parameters, the quality parameters for grade 3. If you're saying that it's 500, they have to be 500 tons. So the commodities exchanges guarantee the quality and the quantity. And that is done through certified storage facilities. They can be warehouses, they can be silos, or any other storage facility that is certified. So to be certified, there is a set of requirements for that particular structure to be met so that it can be certified, including the aeration, including the protection against unwanted animals like rats, birds that can, they can eat those commodities, they can damage them, they can damage the packages. So there's a set of parameters that storage facilities have to meet. So after receiving those commodities at the certified warehouses, there has to be the issuance of good received notes. We call them GRNs. So the good received notes provide information on who is the owner of the commodities, the type of commodity, if it's maize, if it's beans, if it's soya, if it's coffee, the grade of that particular commodity. Briefly, the information regarding the quality of those commodities, and then the location of the storage facility. And that particular information will be used for the issuance of an electronic warehouse receipt, which I will explain later. Then there has to be, after reception, there has to be grading and the testing for aflatoxins and other tests that are done at the lab of the storage facility. The quality grading is very, very crucial, since everything that you sell, every commodity that you sell, it has to be labeled and mention what the grade of that particular commodity is. And then after that, that follows the issuance of an electronic warehouse receipt. So the electronic warehouse receipt is none other than the electronic representation of the physically stored commodity in that particular certified storage facility. It is the electronic representation of the physically stored commodities. So the electronic warehouse receipt serves for two purposes. The first one, it is the trading purpose, and the second one, the financing purpose. For the trading purpose, when you aggregate a commodity, store it in a certified storage facility, the next thing you think about is to sell it at a price that will allow you to cover all your expenses from the production time all the way to the harvest time. So all the costs that you incur as a producer, you have to take them into consideration. You have to take into consideration the financing costs and think about, or come up with a reasonable margin at which you are going to sell your commodity. So that's how the price at which a seller sells his commodity is determined. Of course, it is benchmarked on the prevailing market price on the exchange. So, for example, a farmer or a farmer's cooperative can aggregate its commodity, trade it on the exchange's platform, and get a price that will enable that particular farmer's cooperative to cover all its costs, including the financing costs, and walk away with a margin that comes from that particular trade. A margin is none other than profit. You have farmed, you have put in all the efforts possible, but when you trade, you have to trade so that you can get a profit out of that. So professional farming is a business. So you have to get profit out of what you do. So that's the first part of the purpose of issuing an electronic warehouse receipt. The second purpose, as explained, is access to finance. So financial institutions that we work with provide finance to producers or to traders. On the exchanges, we accommodate. It is a membership-based organization. So among our market participants are also traders and producers and brokers and all. There's a set of participants that trade on the exchange. So the financing part provides access to finance to the producers or the traders of the commodities exchanges, of the commodities on the exchanges. So the banks that we work with at EAX can provide up to 70% of the total value of the physically stored commodities in our storage facilities. And the farmers or the traders can take that money, go back and aggregate more, or go back and use it to pay school fees for their children, or use it in various things that they can use the money for. And then when they trade their commodities, the banks are able to recover the advanced loans to the farmers or to the traders. And the only collateral that the banks require is the physically stored commodities in our warehouses. That's the only collateral that banks look at. Yeah. So
thank you.
That's
Mr. Clément. Unfortunately, I have to cut you off right there, but I think you were wrapping up as we could be running behind schedule. Again, a timely reminder to our viewers and people listening to us that you can ask questions. As you can see, Mr. Clément is very passionate about this, and he was right. 25 minutes was not enough time for him to go into the nitty-gritties of the East African exchange. Clément, sorry for cutting you short, but we'll be coming back to you a little bit later on. Now, without any further ado, allow me to move to our next speaker, who has worked closely with Mr. Clément and the East African exchange over the last period, over the past few years, to ensure that there's the success of her company. That is the CEO of Evergreen and Supply Limited, Mrs. Odeth Kabatesi. Over to you, Miss Odeth Kabatesi. Tell us, please, what is it like to work with the East African Exchange.
Honorable Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Resources, the acting CEO of the Capital Market Authority, the acting CEO of East Africa Exchange, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this important discussion. It is a pleasure to join fellow stakeholders who are passionate about strengthening Rwanda's agriculture markets and deepening the link between capital market commodity exchanges and the real economy. As you may already know, I'm Mrs. Odeth Kabatesi, the CEO of Evergreen and Supply, an agricultural commodity supply company operating in Rwanda. Evergreen and Supply focuses primarily on the aggregation and supply of maize, beans, sorghum, and soybeans, working closely with the smallholders, farmers, and the cooperatives across major agricultural districts, including Nyagatare, Gatsibo, Kilehe, Ngoma, and Nyanza. Our mission is simple but critical. That is to connect farmers to reliable markets while assuring quality, transparency, and efficiency along the value chain. Through hard work and commitment, we have been doing this for the past 5 years. The journey has not been easy, but we can boldly say we have come a long way with the support of many of our stakeholders, including farming community. A key pillar of our growth and operational stability has also been the support we have received from East Africa Exchange, EX, play a vital role in Rwanda by connecting markets and growing trade through its structured trading platform. EX acts as an implementing marketplace. We have supplied in excess of 2,800 metric tons of maize and 3,100 metrics of beans. Yeah, this volume were directly aggregated from local farmers and cooperatives. This model has enhanced price transparency and reduced market uncertainty and providing aggregators like us with a trusted and credible route to market. In many ways, EX demonstrates how commodity exchanges can translate market structures into tangible impact for farmers and traders and national food system. However, despite these gains, several challenges remain, particularly around financing at the aggregation level. One of the most pressing issues in the is the lack of sufficient working capital for aggregators to purchase maize from local farmers promptly and immediately dry it and after harvest. This delay often leads to mold development, fungal infections, heavy insect infestation, which reduce the nutrition value and they pose serious health risks due to aflatoxin. The economic losses from this are substantial, not only for aggregators, but for farmers and entire food system. I must also say that these losses have minimized since we aggregate with the EX, East Africa Exchange. They also do purchases both wet maize and dry maize. Additionally, limited access to finance delay purchasing periods from farmers. This causes farmers to experience increased post-harvest losses, post-harvest losses for the long waiting period. And as aggregator and supply partner, this sometimes means that trips to farms becomes unproductive. And as the farmers are unable to meet the quantity required due to post-harvest losses, this increases operation costs, affects planning efficiency, and increases the cost of doing business. Yeah. One practical solution we strongly recommended is targeted support to local cooperatives, particularly in acquiring maize dryers and basic storage structures. Empowering cooperatives to dry and store maize at the local level would significantly reduce post-harvest losses, stabilize supply, and protect quality. When combined with improved access to affordable finance for aggregators, this would unlock great efficiency across the value chain. Yeah, in closing, our experience as Evergreen and Supply Limited clearly show that capital markets, commodities, commodity exchange, and agriculture are deeply interconnected when financing market access and infrastructure align. The impact goes far beyond individual businesses. It strengthens farmer incomes, improves food security, and contributes meaningful to Rwanda's economy development. Yes, I wish to thank the organizers, all stakeholders present, especially EX, East African Exchange, as our backbone in the commodity and agri-value chain. For creating this platform and look forward to collaboration toward more resilient and inclusive agriculture market system to deliver a wider economic impact to our project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Odeth Kabatesi, the CEO of Evergreen and Supply Limited, and great to hear your testimony on the workings. Though we will also leave with those remarks and considerations, especially the one on targeted support to local cooperatives as well. And who better to take us into the next segue? Our last speaker to also give us the closing remarks from today, the Honorable Dr. Solange Uwituze, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Resources. MINAGRI, thank you for making the time and thank you for joining us, Minister. Over to you for our closing remarks.
Thank you, Malo. So there is not going to be a Q&A session?
Unfortunately, because of time constraints, there won't be one. But we have received a few questions, especially for people asking for the PowerPoint presentations from Mr. Clément Kayitakire, which we are going to share. And for anyone that has any queries, please send them to our X and Twitter, X and Instagram accounts, and you could also write them in the chat box. We are definitely going to get back to them.
Sure. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure we are not in trouble with our distinguished audience. So thank you very much. I guess mine is a very, very easy job, but a significant one. Dear Acting CEO CMA, CEO EX, CEO Evergreen Supply Limited, distinguished audience, a very good morning. At MINAGRI, we are very pleased to participate in this webinar and therefore appreciate CMA for having organized such important platform for awareness, dialogue for the agriculture sector, in particular commodities exchange, to complete the production, market, and policy cycle. We have understood clearly that the commodity exchange in food security is a driver of market access, farmers' income, passing by reduction of the post-harvest losses. Through MINAGRI, the government has prioritized market-led production and farmers' income growth. It is expected that crop production and post-harvest strategies will deliver greatest impact when linked to organized markets, as we have seen it. But most importantly, we have heard and understood very well from the previous presenters that the commodity exchange, especially EX or even CMA in a nutshell, is very critical in market linkages, but doing it and increasing the bargaining power of our farmers. And the beauty of this platform and this facility is to make sure we also tap into the external market, be it taking our commodities there or being able to purchase our commodities that we need in the country from the best offer that there is around the world. So we at MINAGRI are looking at a situation whereby very soon we will start educating our farmers or even our business operators in agri sector into the futures market. Right now, we see a situation whereby we actually are rather focusing on spot market, which makes our supply chain a bit vulnerable to seasonality of the produce. And so, thankfully, EX through CMA and together with the MINAGRI with other agencies, we are looking at a situation whereby we will be also very strong players as a country into the futures market, so that we really eliminate the vulnerability of our supply chains from the seasonality shocks. So EX through and CMA, this is something we appreciate at MINAGRI, that we are going to finally get in a situation whereby we are seasonality proofed in our production and the food chain supply. Of course, for us to do that, MINAGRI understands very well that we need to get our house in order, especially in terms of knowing what is our effective demand, especially of the agricultural commodities that are needed mostly. Here we are talking. You have heard what the CEO of Evergreen mentioned. These are the commodities that are of great interest to us as a country. And so we want to get our house in order in terms of making sure we fully understand what is our effective demand from human consumption perspective, as well as from animal consumption perspective. So for us to do that, we need to improve our record keeping of our farmers, both for crops and for animals, so that we improve our real-time record keeping, so as to be able to predict our effective demand that will allow us to really have a better clarity of what it is you are either taking to the market or buying or purchasing from the markets from a futures market perspective, as opposed to spot market perspective. And so we therefore recognize the Commodities Exchange as a contractor of farmers and aggregators to reliable off-takers, reducing dependency on spot traders and middlemen. And this will strengthen farmers' bargaining power, like it has been said by the CEO of EX. So we look forward to working with all players to make sure that our initiative that we have called the Food Basket Sites as MINAGRI is actually going to thrive through the contract farming that will be streamlined through what I just said, the record keeping, the real-time record keeping. We really want to do our agriculture in a professional manner, in a commercial manner. And so we are anticipating a very strong participation of CMA through EX in making sure our contract farming that is in the nascent stages is actually going to thrive. And so we have to acknowledge that this is a new area for us as MINAGRI, especially for our farmers, and we plead for an active participation with a room to really learn, evaluate, and adjust. But we need to get started like yesterday. So the exchange, of course, supports national offtake programs, improves traceability, like you have seen, and like I said, reduces post-harvest losses among farmer producers, which is a critical point for food security. It has been mentioned by the CEO of EX that food security is really an important key element in the sovereignty of our country, because a hungry population is an angry population. We have seen situation in certain countries where hungry people are literally overthrowing the governments. We want our people to be fully food secure, but we also would add that we want them to be not only food secure, but we want them to be secure even nutritionally. So for us to do that, we need to, again, understand our effective demand and also work with EX to cover whatever gap we might be having from a futures market perspective. We acknowledge, therefore, as I conclude I'm going towards the conclusion, we commend CMA for the regulatory oversight and the market development. We appreciate EX for operational progress and aggregation efforts in the agriculture sector. We also appreciate the private sector actors such as Evergreen for continued involvement in agribusiness. Since the exchange can serve as a bridge between agriculture and the capital markets, as an enabler of agribusiness financing, we urge to develop products linked to warehouses, receipt, and structured trade. And at this juncture, I wish to reaffirm the government of Rwanda commitment to organize commodity markets for agriculture sector. We recognize that organized markets are central to modernizing Rwanda's agriculture, and we shall be issuing policy signals that organized commodity markets are a deliberate policy choice, not as an experiment. Government of Rwanda remains committed to support commodity exchange business to enable predictable markets, and we reiterate MINAGRI's commitment and continued collaboration with CMA and EX to strengthen policy coherence. Moving forward, we urge the sector stakeholders to participate more actively in the exchange, adopt aggregation models, and use structured markets as the default route to market access in a stable and a continued manner. To this juncture, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Solange Uwituze. Thank you for making the time, and thank you for being with us. As we wrap up this, just throw one question to the CEO of the East Africa Exchange, Mr. Clément Kayitakire. So many questions coming in. I will run through these. There's one from Jean-Baptiste Nietejeka. Could you please share with us the the slides that we can go through them and have a deeper understanding? JB, if you could share your email address in the box or send an email to info@cma.rw, you will definitely get her slides. That's info@cma.rw. And another question coming in from Christian Bugabo. Eric Mukunzi. Can this market be accessed directly by individuals like farmers, or are there intermediaries? Mr. CEO Clément, quick question there to you. Direct access, or are there intermediaries?
Thank you, Arnold. Yes, there's a direct access. As I mentioned in the presentation, we are a membership-based organization. Among the members are farmers or producers of other commodities. There are traders like Evergreen that shared their testimony earlier. And there are also intermediaries, also known as brokers. So that is how the structure of the Commodities Exchange is built, including financial institutions, of course. So yes, farmers can access the exchange directly, and they actually do. Thank you.
Thank you, Clément. Godfrey, we see your question as well. Christian Bugabo, we see your question. I think what this tells us is that there needs to be a part 2 of this webinar, without a doubt. So many questions. But unfortunately, the internet tells us we need to cut this off now. The orders of Zoom tell us we need to cut off this. This information needs to come to a close. So for anyone who joined a little bit late, you can find it on the CMA Rwanda social media handles. That's across Twitter, which is X, across Instagram as well, and across LinkedIn as well. So you can find those social media handles. Allow me to thank our speakers today, starting with Mr. KAREKEZI Ngabonziza Eric, the acting CEO of the Capital Markets Authority of Rwanda. Thank you for making the time, sir. Mr. Clément Kayitakire, the CEO of East Africa Exchange. Thank you for making the time as well. Mrs. Odeth Kabatesi, the CEO of Evergreen and Supply Limited. Thank you so much for making the time. And last but not least, Dr. Solange, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Animal Resources, known as MINAGRI. Thank you so much for making the time. I've been your host, Arnold Kumalo Kwizera. See you next time. Cheers.